Hey folks, what is going on, RedMaster, and welcome back to episode of Cards and Castles Casting Conflict. So where today we've got Beastly back in the driver's seat, as he's on a bit of a losing streak, and he's going to look to repair that against someone who, quite famously on this series, doesn't do too well, that being Tweakin. So what happens when the losing streak goes up against the most losses? Only one way to find out. Let's go ahead and jump right in to match number 1. Alright folks, and welcome back to another episode of Casting Conflicts. Here we've got Tweakin taking on Beastly, the Crusader Viking taking on the Warlock Viking. And joining me today is Vesa. Vesa, how you doing?
I'm doing great, right?
Oh, fantastic. So, we got the, what seems to be the Warlock Viking against Crusader Viking. Now, I personally give this matchup more to the Crusader Viking, probably because of that healing, but what are your thoughts on the match so far?
I'm trying to think about what Tweakin could be right. I don't see a War Party coming again, and we see the Salahander from Beastly here.
Right.
What deck these guys are either one?
I'm not entirely sure. Well, actually, Beastly, I think, is locked into a sort of undead chain from what we saw in his recent casting conflicts. So he's pretty much set with that deck. Tweakin, though, I'm not sure exactly what deck he's deciding to play, though. I don't know if maybe this is just a nice, snipe in terms of a counter pick, or what,
I'm going to go with Mist from Tweakin. We see Beastly coming down with the Salahar Rider early, and like you said, so you're expecting maybe an undead type of combination to reanimate from Beastly here. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what we've seen recently out of the deck pool. Or really his last two casting conflicts, he's been sort of locked in already to the Warlock Viking Undead, so... Oh, he's not happy with the Cleric.
Salahar Rider. The is it Crusader,
the Cleric?
Cleric, there we go. That's the that was a really good proc to hit the Cleric and go ahead and finish that off.
And Tweakin's not happy about it. I think he was banking on that Cleric to do a little bit more work for him than it did. But in the meantime, I mean, you've got the Priest set up here as a nice little body block. Not really sure what Beastly can bring out just yet. Yeah, probably Tweakin, but hey, okay. I like how he's
I'm gonna throw out
his place.
I'm gonna throw out a prediction here, and is that Beastly has the reanimate in him right now.
Oh, maybe.
Based on the way I'm expecting that Beastly actually has the reanimate in his hand. Do you agree with that?
Potentially. We just saw the Bolt of the Priest here against it without the push of Lumberjack either. Okay, well, Darkbender's going to come up now, so maybe not yet. I think he's holding back on it, but it certainly could be in his hand. Darkbender is going to be a nice way to kind of threaten Tweakin's board a bit here. Maybe potentially shive him off from playing some additional units here. We do see the Wizard, though, as the draw, so that will probably be the play, which it is. And yeah, just kind of a setting up range on both sides here. I think Tweakin, maybe that Temple giving him a bit more of an edge here, plus the Blacksmith. But that Blue Fire does a good job in cleaning up, and I think he's definitely not too happy about that. Yep, here we go. Text box.
And it's just huge to take out that Wizard, especially with the Darkbender in that threatening position. And right now, Beastly does.
Oh, what is that in Tweakin's hand? Do you see what I see, Vesa? Oh no, I think he's liking that.
I might not be seeing what you're seeing. I don't see that as a Tim game. Would you care to elaborate?
Oh, well, we've seen the top deck for Tweakin's last turn. He put down a Temple of the Five Gods for his turn 6, but he picks up a Tower of Ice. for turn, which kind of indicates that this is a little bit of some kind of free shenanigans here, just based on, that Tower of Ice as an inclusion in the deck here. And he actually shows off the Ice Weaving he just top decked as well, so a bit of Tower of Ice Weaving shenanigans here from Tweakin's deck.
So we're seeing a lot of freeze,
Yeah.
but that would kind of maybe be indicative of War Party. But I also don't see Blacksmith being a player War Party type of deck. What do you think Tweakin is playing?
I think he's going to go with some kind of free strategy. Obviously, the Tower of Ice, well, if he could hover over the card for us, I believe the damage is an additional, a stacking of 3. So for every hit, it's doing about 3 additional damage, which can be big with some of these big boys that Vikings hold in their late game. Things like Yarum, Yenneroth, maybe even Ragnar. Not to mention, Kraxus and the Crusaders, which we are seeing here. So I think maybe his strategy is just to kind of generate some big boys and then put the freeze on Castle, which can be done with things like Cloak or Pillar, and then smack for just an insane amount of damage. So that's what we could be seeing.
I'm gonna go ahead and put it out that I think that Beastly has a a very good advantage in this game.
Probably. Just by the overall strategy of Tweakin's deck, might come back to haunt him here. However, I mean, both sides have chain, which is pretty important, I would say. Can't really rule that out of the match, but I do kind of agree with you. I think Beastly is just in a bit more of an advantageous position here. He's just going for damage. He's not worrying about the extra freeze element for extra damage. And we'll see if that comes back to haunt him. So we'll see him set up a second Temple, Unholy Altar for turn 8. So he's going to start generating that Swarm bit here. I believe that leaves him, though, without an option to deal with Kraxus. So that Darkbender might die unless he decides to... Okay, he's probably going to block here. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's at this point to, and we're gonna see the come out. He was trying to trade the vampire, and he's willing to give up the Draxus.
It appears so. We'll see books come out, followed by, I imagine, the priest, right? Yeah, no harm in doing that. So we're getting everything a bit more healthier, which is great. Now, these buildings, though, are going to be put in a difficult position for Beastly to get rid of here. I mean, 6 on Temple, 5 on Tower. Those aren't easy buildings to get rid of at this point, so... I don't know. We'll see if the ice strategy pays off for Tweakin here. He's got some healthy buildings. He's got the ice weaving in hand. We'll see if that's able to freeze Castle for him, and then maybe even some Arbiter stuff on turn 10.
Wow, and now we're gonna see triple
Oh, God.
Temple of, and that's just very deadly.
That's
Now,
basically
RedMaster,
equivalent to... Oh, I'm sorry,
on
go ahead.
Tower. What are your opinions on Tower of War as a whole? Just as a card, what do you think about Tower?
I think it's a fun and interesting one. Definitely not one that I recommend for you to take into a more competitive environment. Just because there's not really a clear way to consistently keep a frozen castle going. Unless you have things like Cloak and Pillar, and especially with Cloak on bigger bodies maybe. But still, again, just very difficult to pull off, and, recommend that you stay away from it in competitive. But here we're going to see Rakanoth, so big boy coming out now for Beastly here. Oh, the Mordok top deck, though. You love to... Oh, wait, is he just going to go for Mystic Rats to end it? Oh, no.
And you see, Beastly is down to 7 health here, and without doing math, Mystic Journey Rats is going to put him down pretty low, but probably not lethal.
I would say the safer bet here, potentially drop the Arbor to deal a massive amount of damage, and then the card. I don't like that though, because you lose the Temple with that. Like, I think he might have tendency to go after the Temple, or might go for face damage. I don't know, but either Arbiter or Rat King here, I think, is the play.
He needs to take out the Rakanoth, in my opinion, this turn.
Alright, so he's going for the Mystic Rats here. Will it pay off is the question. A little bit of damage going there to the castle. The timer is going to kick in now. He needs to start moving these rats. I don't think he's gonna have enough time.
Yeah, I think he waited a little bit too here. He does get the heal on the castle, which is kind of big, but he does run out of time before he can actually hit the Racken.
Right.
So that's going to allow Beastly to take out the Temple of the Five Gods with a hit on the castle.
I think he actually just needs to kill this castle now if he wants to stand a chance. We see the Arbiter play as the, next turn win condition. But if Rakanoth attacks here, yeah, that kind of signals that he's not going to have anything else. Unless there's maybe like a Mystic Rat in the deck of his own. But this might actually be Tweakin's game.
Yeah, it's looking good for Tweakin here. Even though he did hesitate a little bit on the last play, just have enough to
Right. Just kind of, do the damage that needed to be done. But we're looking like, yeah, I don't think Beastly can block off 2 spots with 1 gold here as we approach the probably last turn of this game. Tweakin's setting up for it. He wants to deliver the final blow. Will he get it? Timer running down for Beastly now. Can he put a card on the board is the question. And it looks like that's not going to be the case. So Tweakin does take match number 1 here. He's going to probably drop the Arbiter. And yep, there it is. Arbiter comes down. Going to smack Castle. And that's going to give game 1 to Tweakin. Very nicely done for a deck that we kind of gave the disadvantage to in this matchup, if we're going to be honest here. We said Tower of Ice, maybe not going to be worth it, but we were kind of proven wrong, I think, in that regard.
absolutely.
I think that
Great
3
job.
damage definitely helped him when you think about it. I mean, it put that castle right in sort of the optimal range for Arbiter to kind of end the game. So, yeah, I got to give credit where credit's due. It was a solid match.
Yeah, let's go to the players and see what kind of insight they could provide us on that.
For
This
sure, for
match.
sure. Let's go ahead and jump into that right now. All right, folks, so back after match number 1, and Tweakin takes the victory here using a deck that has a little bit of interesting spice to it. So, Tweakin, how about we start with you here? Talk to us about that matchup for you in that deck choice, especially the card we saw right in the middle there, the sneaky Tower of Ice play, if you will.
Oh, well, if you know me, I hate normal decks. I hate ordinary decks. I just want something that, it's fun to play with when you pull it off. I don't really care if I win or lose. I just want to pull off the move. And in that game, thankfully I did. I drew the Arbiters early. Then immediately after the Ice Weaving, I was like, oh, please, I just need the tower now. I just need the tower. I was kind of scared that he was going to burn it immediately once he saw it. But thankfully he didn't. So why I played that first rather than keep it is because I wanted to get Craxus down that next turn, and then immediately following the next 2 turns, have it already set up for turn 10 when I can immediately play it. I had no clue as to what deck Beastly was running. Couldn't have a clue. I was like, all right, why is he turning up turn 3? He's just playing a bunch of blue fire bolts and fears. Saw a lumberjack. That's it. Darkbender. So I was like, this kind of looks like a war party deck, like a Jimba undead war party deck. So I was kind of
creation.
yeah. I was so I didn't know how to feel about that. In the moment, I thought that was kind of good for me because that would give me time to draw what I need, and I have a bunch of heals because I run 3 arbiters in the deck. So I can withstand, especially when I have 2 in my hand. So I was like, oh, please. And then he started playing like 50 Temples of the Five Gods, and that's when I started to get worried. I was like, oh, God, dude. And the last thing I'll say, well, the 2 things I'll say before I go is the Cleric move, dude. On turn what? Turn 3?
We saw the
Oh,
regret. We saw the regret.
oh,
All in the moves.
dude. Oh, man. I felt so bad. I was like, why? I just wasted a Cleric right there. And then after that, the last one is why it took me so long to play Mystic Rats or Arbiters is because I was deciding, is there a chance that he could kill me the next turn? So if that was the case, I was going to play Arbiters just so I can heal and then I could play Mystic Rats. But then I was thinking, oh man, what if he plays Eternal Darkness and blocks all my spawns? Then I can't play Mystic Rats. So I was like, all right, I'll play the unit now that I need to, that from where I can't get spawn block, I have enough heals because then I can play the cleric and hopefully it'll hit the castle, which it did, and then I can play arbiters next turn because he probably won't be able to spawn block with an arbiters, and even if he does, I just need to hit one unit to connect the one damage to the castle to end it. So I was still sitting pretty, I thought.
I think a
What I
lot of
thought.
that match, especially towards the end of it, you were in the driver's seat most of the way through. But I mean, you covered pretty much what I was going to talk to you about. I mean, between the cleric and the mystic rats, probably also your opinion on how crucial the arbiter ice weaving combo was at one point. You actually pulled that off. You actually hit it in the game.
Yeah.
And I just want to get your thoughts on maybe like how crucial you thought that was in your opinion, because I mean, I mentioned at the end of the game too. Like, I don't think if you didn't hit that, you probably would have been maybe a health or two short of actually ending the game, even with that arbiter. So if you want to just
Yeah. That was huge because one is probably if I didn't get the heal off, he would have killed me with the Raka, especially with the lightning blade. So being able to pretty much negate the dark bender, basically having him sacrifice the dark bender, and not only healing all the way back up, but dealing what? What did I do? Like 9 or 10 damage. I mean, the arbiter hit for 8.
yeah.
So
So you hit pretty much for 9
just
damage. Yeah.
dude, it's just it's just a straight bomb that no one sees. No one expects it because no one plays ice weaving, and I don't think anyone knows that you can play ice weaving on the castle. So just having that combination is good for one hit. 100%. No one is ever expecting that. Once you do pull it off, oh, trust me, they're going to be looking at that. Every turn of the match now. They're going to be making sure that that doesn't happen again. Luckily for Beastly, I didn't have another ice weaving, or I would have fucking hit him for another 9.
Toxic.
But man, it's so good because you get the heal, you get the 9 damage, and then you just get the satisfaction, and then it's just I would just love to see people who've never seen that deck just watch it happen, and I just want to see their reaction to it.
Well, I mean, we'll
Because
certainly
the
see.
first time I pulled it off, I was dying. I was
Well,
laughing.
We'll see how people are gonna respond to it. Obviously, there's a comment section in the video. But I mean, that's gonna do it for me. Vesa, do you have any words for Tweakin before we move over to our other competitor here?
Well, I'd first like to express that I'm really impressed with Tweakin's deck and the way that he pulled it off. But actually, I have a question for Beastly here, if that's okay.
All right, we're gonna switch right over to Beast. All
With
right,
the
take it away. You're good.
Darkbender was in front of the castle, Beastly, did you feel like you were ahead? And if so, or if not, then at what position did you kind of start to worry about the match that maybe Tweakin kind of getting?
Oh, I knew he had it from the start. Just just the color combination, I just knew he's got this in the bag.
Right, so even when you had the Darkbender position,
Yeah, even when
Uh,
I knew that he could just Mystic Rat away, something along those lines. So I wasn't too concerned with it.
gotcha. Okay.
All right.
Did you know what I was doing with the Tower of Winter?
Yeah. Of course, yes. I knew you were gonna do something funny.
Did you expect an Arbiter to come out?
No, I actually did expect an Arbiters because the only reason you would be playing Tower in those color combinations was if you had something to whack face with. And the only real thing that you could have pulled out was an Arbiters, so I was just ready to spread my cheeks on turn 10.
Oh my
Like, oh,
God.
here it comes, boys.
But I mean, with that being said, I guess we'll jump over to the other side of things. Beastly, I mean, how did you feel going into that match? I guess I mean, you kind of just explained.
Oh,
it,
I felt great, Ren. I felt absolutely amazing going in there. Tweakin is one of my favorite people to play with. Honestly, he comes up with the best deck combinations, and it was just really, really enjoyable to play with him. I'm being serious here, okay? I'm not being sarcastic. All right, I know I might come across sometimes as a little bit on the sarcastic side, but I promise I'm being totally sincere here. Tweakin is actually like one of my favorite people to play against, definitely.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I mean, on the match side of things, I would say it was a very very good match. He won it fair and square, so I'm quite happy with that. And I got a great deck lined up. We'll see if it works. I'm gonna match his spirit his spirit deck there with my spirit deck. So we'll see
Oh
how it
dear.
goes.
All
Should
right.
be a
Well, I
little bit
mean,
of an
listen.
interesting one.
I think at that point, if you're gonna make words like that come out, then I think we should just jump right into it. So, with that being said, folks, match number 2, right now. All right, folks, and welcome back to match number 2. As we jump in here, a little bit, a little blurry, I think behind. Oh, there we go. Perfect stuff here. So obviously, Tweakin running the same deck back that Tower of Ice against Beastly's Mono Druid. So he did mention he was going to bring out his Spirit deck, and he was not lying. The first deck he bought to Casting Conflicts makes it another appearance today. Vesa, how do you feel about this matchup for Beastly in the Mono Druid? Do you think he's got a better chance here against the Tower deck?
Well, we're seeing some. It kind of.
I think he's breaking up a little bit, folks. We'll get him back in a moment. I'll check back in, Vesa, in a moment. But in the meantime, I think he did mention that we have seen this deck before. Hopefully, hopefully I'm not misinterpreting his words here. But anyway, I mean, my thoughts on the matter. Obviously, this is Beastly's, one of his original decks here, meant to be more aggressive. So I think he actually has a great chance here in this matchup if he can get that aggression going. Might be a bit difficult here with the Racking Mystic already in Tweakin's hand. Oh, and yep, there we go. But as I was saying, it's going to be, I think, a little difficult for BC to break through. Hopefully he can to really make an impact. We'll see if actually Tweakin goes for this Lightning Blade a bit, not Lightning Blade, Mystic Journey, excuse me, a bit early, which he does. So, alright, putting on some pressure early. Bop, bop, and bopping all the rats here. Oh, and it looks like we're going to end it off there. I think Vesa, I think you are back now, right?
Okay, yeah,
There
I
he
had to
is.
leave the channel, but I am here now. So we see Tweakins went ahead and got off the Rat King. Who do you think has the advantage in this matchup so far,
Oh
RedMaster?
right, if you did just leave, so I did mention that I think I think Beastly's deck is more centered around some aggression and just pure in your face kind of style. But I think if Tweakin gets past a lot of this, he might have a good chance. Beastly's deck really doesn't have a clear way to remove big bodies, and once his deck runs out of steam, that's really where it ends off. It doesn't go any further than that. So I was kind of saying if Tweakin can hold off the initial wave of units and troops Beastly throws his way, I think he might just take this match and the set.
Sure. And we saw a Call Beast from Beastly. What are your opinions on that card overall?
I mean, personally, I don't really find it super useful. I know for him, it's sort of a cheaper way to get out something like a bear or a bear hog. But yeah, I'm kind of indifferent about it. I don't really find it super useful. But hey,
Right.
I mean, it's worked in the past basically before, so I'm not going to criticize.
Yeah, it can call a 4 drop. It's a 3 gold card, and it can call a 3/6 bear. But if I'm not mistaken, the only other options are it can bring a 2 drop or a
The wolf and the
two
bear
drop
hog,
North
yeah.
Pole and the bear hog. Um, in my opinion, I don't like Call Beast. I just don't think there's quite enough value in that card for it to be good.
Right, but speaking of value here, Black is going to make an appearance for Beastly to make all of these incoming units a bit buffer. Granted, Tweakin does have 2 wizards, so he's not completely defenseless here. We'll see if Beastly decides to go for some aggression. Again, that's what his deck is centered around, and there is the Bestial Rage onto the wizard here. So things are going to be a little difficult, I believe, for Tweakin moving into the later stages of this matchup here. Not only does he have that raged up wizard, Obviously, he's also got the Mana Core protection as well. So we'll see if Tweakin has the means to deal with this. He might. I think he might, thanks to this Frozen Storm that's about to hit the board. Yep, there it is. So a bit of discarding, a bit of Tower of Ice stuff, and he's going to be able to clear away both the Shaman and the Manticore, excuse me, with ease. I think that was a good defensive use of the Tower of Ice, but still I think he's going to do a little bit more to bring himself back in.
Right, and the Frozen Storm freeze all card is kind of, it's kind of fallen out of favor after the discard effect was put into play. Do you still think that the Frozen Storm card still has good value, RedMaster?
For sure. It's essentially a cheaper way to get to Yenneroth's ability, and we know how much how much that can bring into a matchup, just kind of creating that stall momentarily to do some work and do some damage here. And especially since Frozen Storm isn't affecting your own units, you definitely have more freedom to kind of work with that, which was what we saw with Tweakin's Frozen Storm. Froze off everything initially and then proceeded to use his wizards, which, if he was doing a Yenneroth, he'd have to connect the wizards first to ensure that he didn't, miss the attack with it. But, I mean, still definitely in a bit of trouble here. Right now, actually, the wizard is uncontested, and that's going to lead Beastly to pretty much potentially seal off this game if he doesn't have, or if he has a companion, excuse me. So something like a Centaur or a Spiny could end this game right out from Tweakin's nose.
Right, and we see Beastly has very strong board position. Tweakin has card advantage, but now down to 1 castle health. It's really looking like this game's going in Beastly's favor. There's still a chance for Tweakin to recover if he can live with the Arbiter's Return in his hand here, but
Oh, and he actually just might.
And okay.
Looks like he is going to get
So,
that connection.
Probably taking out the sniper?
Yeah, the sniper. The wizards are going to end up trading with this one.
One wizard, right.
And then we connect to the sniper to kind of kill it off. And we also have regained a lot of that castle health taken away by that rampaging wizard. So we're pretty much left on even grounds here. And we also have that Ice Weaving back in our hand, which we saw from the last match can do some damage if Beastly is not careful here. So we'll see if he decides to kind of wall up on his castle here, or if the Lightning Blade is going to come in.
Beastly was low on cards, and now he's actually down to 0. So even though there's a 10-point castle swing on health, we've got the Craxus and the Lightning Blade, the Ice Weaving. There's a lot of options for Tweakin here to actually come away with this game, and we're going to see the card draw here from Craxus.
Mordok and Mystic Journey here, which Mystic Journey does pair well with that Dragonite in our hand.
Right. And I'm going to put the advantage in Tweakin's favor here with 4 turns, left here. I think that, Beastly just ran his hand out, and the Arbiter's Return was really huge here and giving Tweakin a huge advantage.
It's kind of what I mentioned earlier here. If Tweakin survives that initial, wave of units and, abilities, then he's got a good chance of coming out against this, just due to the fact that Beastly's deck really can't recover once it's out of resources. There's no external draw that he can, use aside from Lumberjack and Shaman, which can be few and far in between. We're going to see that Dragon Knight come out, followed by the Ice Weaving Lightning Blade, to bring the castle health to an even 7-7 as we move into the sudden death moments here of our game.
Yeah, and you were exactly right on that point earlier, RedMaster, that Tweakin kind of survived that early push, and Beastly just looks like he's ran out of gas here. And if I'm not mistaken, it just looks like Tweakin's going to come away with the match victory here on this game.
Perhaps. We'll see if Beastly decides to get more defensive here. Maybe clear out some of these units like the Dragon Knight and the Faithful Drake if he can. But even then, I don't really feel like it's going to be enough. There's 2 cards in his hand. He still hasn't used the one that he got from last turn, so we'll see if any of those could be used here. Looks like Wizard going to be one of the cards coming out here. Blacksmith's, of course, doing that, cleanup job like I mentioned before. And, yeah, I think he's definitely in trouble here. And the Blacksmith is finishing it. No, play the Blacksmith. You're going to finish it. Oh, he wants to style on him with the Mordock.
Okay, well, that'll work too.
That will.
But yeah, he just couldn't take care of the Craxus either, and it was just too much pressure from Tweakin, and like you said, Tweakin was able to survive the early onslaught from Beastly and came away with the victory there. Good game.
Right. For sure, for sure. But what do you think we go back to both the players now and see how they're feeling after game number 2?
Let's go.
All right, folks. Post-game interviews coming at you. All right, folks, and we're back after match number 2, and the set point goes to Tweakin here as he comes away with the victory against the Mono Druids. Now, Tweakin, tell me how you were feeling in that matchup. You saw the Mono Druid, you saw Beastly Spirit deck, you stared it down in the face, and you came out on top. Talk to me about how you went through that match.
Yeah, I thought when I saw Mono Druids, I figured it was going to be like a rush deck, so I thought if I could, at least slow him down long enough to make it into the late game, or at least into sudden death, that I would have more cards and probably more units than he does. So the first part of the game was just trying to survive his initial push because it was going to be fast and heavy, and it was getting kind of out of hand with the 2 mana cores, and then also with the Wizard and the Rampage. But that whatever card it was Frozen Storm.
Yeah, the 5
what it's called?
gold discard for freeze.
Yeah,
Frozen Storm.
yeah. That came in clutch because it allowed me to set up to kill the Wizard with the Rampage. And once he started to move back his Blacksmith, I knew I had the game in the bag. It was just a matter of and I knock his castle down before he can draw a companion and put a buff card on it.
Right, which is kind of what we were expecting, or at least I was expecting how Beastly to sort of end the game if he could. We did see that Spiny in the end, but ultimately just not enough. Now, I kind of want to talk to you quickly about that early Rat King Mystic journey here. Normally, people do try to save that combo for later on in the game, but you mentioned how you had that game plan in mind to survive the early rush. Was the Rat King Mystic, early a part of that? Just kind of putting bodies,
Yeah.
Trying to block him off from being aggressive, all just to kind of, survive that initial rush?
Now, yeah, so when I had Rat King out and I had Mystic Journey in my hand, the initial thought was, well, I have Rat King out right now. I have the combination. I'm not guaranteed to draw another Rat King in the game, which I think I drew another one towards the late game. Anyway, I'm not guaranteed that I will draw another Rat King or a Temple of the 5 Gods in that game. So in my initial play was to play more defensively and just stop his initial push. And I thought, well, if I'm already here and I'm trying to, kill all his units as fast as possible, why not just put the offense on him while I can, get the damage on castle? That way it'll make my job easier when it is time to, go in for the assault and knock down his castle. And I thought if I could, survive a couple of turns, have him waste a couple of turns killing my rats at his spawn, while I can, have turns to kind of like draw my cards, build up my smaller units, so that way I have more defense when he comes back. I thought, I think I'm getting good value here, and it ended up pretty good value at the end.
For sure, for sure. I mean, you did come out with the win after all, so I would say, again, pretty successful there. But that's going to be it for me. Vesa, do you have anything for Tweakin before we talk to the other side of things?
Sure. Tweakin, I just wanted to know what your thoughts overall, having played the card Frozen Storm, and that's kind of a card that's fallen out of favor, and I just wanted to know how you've been able to use it to your advantage in this deck.
Yeah, so the reason why it's in this deck is mainly because I'm trying to find ways to be able to freeze the enemy's castle while not freezing my own units. Yanaroth is out of the picture. Although it like freezes the castle, it freezes your units as well. So I kind of use a different version of Yanaroth, which is Frozen Storm, where yes, you do discard a card. However, you freeze everything, the units, the castles, and the bonus is your units aren't freeze. So if I have 2 units next to his castle that I can hit face, I'll play Frozen Storm, and then bam, those are 2 more big hits with my Tower Winter play. And also, it can be used more defensively. And we saw in that game that's how I used it. I used it when Beastly had his Wizard Rampage. I used it to position my other units, so I'd be able to take that out next turn or the 2 turns after that. So it just allows me to kind of stall and regain my focus and figure out, all right, what can I do, and kind of set up my opponent for next turn.
Well, we definitely saw you use it to your advantage in this game, and that was well played. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right, but over on the other side of things, Beastly, unfortunately, this is your third set unsuccessful in a gassing conflict.
Hold it there, Red. I wouldn't say unfortunately. I would say this is very fortunate because I would just like to say this was honestly one of the funnest games I've ever played. Seeing Frozen Storm coming out, that was just that was perfect. And the 1 HP castle, I kind of felt it, but at the same time, I was happy. I took a gamble, and of course, it didn't work out in my favor, but it did work out in someone's favor. So I'm really happy that that happened. And overall, the Racking Mystic at that start, I was like, okay, if he's going to play the Racking Mystic, I may as well make him work for it. So we made the Racking stay on the board for a couple turns, do that gold drain. And yeah, I mean the Racking does generate a lot of value for Mystic Journey, but it's distributed if he lets me choose to trade. So I can choose to trade favorably. So I would say that probably balanced out pretty equally, seeing as I had all my units left, but they were just at 1 HP, or 2 HP in some cases. So yeah, overall, I would just say that that was an amazing game. I really did enjoy that. Spirit deck on spirit deck, and I think that was a pretty interesting one.
Right, now, I mean, like, quickly just mention to us your thoughts about going for the counter pick here. Obviously, you mentioned in that, post-game interview for the first match you wanted to just make that spirit-on-spirit clash. But did you actually have, confidence using the deck going into that matchup? Did you have the game plan of, if maybe that you could deter him from using his freeze on the offensive, then maybe you had a chance to kind of just rush down and maybe beat his face in before he had a chance to do anything like that?
Oh no no no! If I wanted to be really really sweaty, I would have gone with probably I would say no interactions would probably be a decent counter. But I didn't want to be full sweaty, so I just chose this. It's just a fun. It does work sometimes. It doesn't work other times. It's just it's a little bit of an interesting one. Just some good mechanics going on, and if as he said, you can survive the early turns. I mean, I wouldn't say you have the game secured, because of course, range units with bestial rage is nothing to laugh at. But you do have a better chance in the late game, seeing as I do run a lot of the smaller units in the deck. But yeah, I wasn't really thinking to counterpick. I don't really think to counterpick in these. I just like playing something fun.
Right, but I mean, with that being said, Vesa, anything for Beastly before I close this video out then?
Sure, just real quick, Beast. One card I was questioning was the call to Beast.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What are your opinions on that card overall? And,
Uh,
and I'm saying that I don't really like that card, and I'll let you
yeah.
speak.
I know it's not a favorable card. I know in the higher levels of play, people kind of frown on it, because again the RNG, and the fact that your beast is most likely not going to be worth it, seeing as the what's it, the one that runs around with Rampage,
Bear
that three
Hog?
gold one. Yeah, Bear Hog isn't like a favorable pull out of it, or you could get Wolf or Bear. I honestly just play it because they're all beasts. They all work with the Rampage, the Bestial Rage, and if I get a bear, then you're kind of screwed, because the bear is going to come for you. And it's just kind of funny to see the turn 3 or turn 2 bear plays going on. So that's why I run that card in the deck. If I get either of the other ones, it's fine. I just play with that.
Seems
Fair enough. Well,
yeah,
it was a good game, guys. Very good to watch you guys play.
for sure.
Oh,
Thank you.
can
Thank
can
you.
I add can I add one more thing?
Oh dear.
Tweakin, I'm coming for the bottom. All right, you understand that. Tweakin,
Oh,
Tweakin, this is
it's
putting
gonna be
your
hard.
KD. This is putting your No, no, it's not going to be hard anymore, Tweakin. This is putting your KD up. Now I have a chance.
All right, folks.
You know, I feel refreshed. You know, I taken a little break. I feel refreshed, knocking the dust off.
Yeah, I think you should
You know,
play more people with his deck.
coming back from a hiatus, and picking the dub up.
I don't know.
Can't hate it.
Tweakin,
I
Can't hate
definitely,
it. No.
yeah.
Is this a sign of more to come from you, Tweakin?
Please.
Who knows? Who knows? If the community wants it, we might have to come out of
Yeah,
retirement.
yes, Tweakin, we want it.
Granted,
Please,
despite
please play more.
I have no idea when I'll post this, but we'll see by then.
Tweakin, I apologize for Red's actions. All right, I don't know if he said sorry yet.
All
but he's
right.
very,
Well,
very
with that
sorry.
being said, folks, I'm gonna throw it at my future self to close out this video. All right, folks, and with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy the decision of casting conflicts. Let me know what you guys thought of today's matches by leaving your thoughts, of course, down in the comment section below. And while you're down there, if you haven't done so already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you're new or haven't done so already. It is the best way to support the channel after all. And yeah, with that being said, that's going to do it for me for now. So, until next time, guys, stay gaming.